Well, hi there. This is lesson 1 at Algebra 1/2. Okay, the main things you need to know about this lesson is that all numbers are listed in threes. So, for example, you have 805, comma 612 to 2, comma 4227, comma 826. Okay, these are just read as numbers: 826, 427, 612, 805. Each of these has places. This is just the number. This one is thousands. This one is millions. This one is billions. So you would read this 805 billion, 612 million, 427,000, 826. That's how you would read those. Each one has a place value, and so this lesson is just to remind you how you say them, how you read them, that sort of thing. So that's pretty simple. That's lesson number 1. They talk about what's called expanded notation, and expanded notation is writing something like this. You would say, let's write 2047, or 2047 is how you would say it. You don't say 2047, you say 2047. In expanded notation, you would say this is 2 times 1,000 plus 4 times 10 plus 7 times 1. And that would be expanded notation. So there's going to be 2 thousands, 4 tens or 40, and then 7. And so that's expanded notation. It's not that complicated. It's just understanding how it is written and how it is said. The last deal is that there's a couple of words that they use when you are adding things together that I will never ever use, and I don't want you to worry about, but you'll read them in your book every now and then, so you may have to look them up. One is this word called an addend. So if you have 7 plus 4, these are addends. Add this, that's where they get the word addends. And then the answer, or the sum, is when you're adding things, that's the sum. So the things you are adding are called addends. That's an addend. This is an addend. This is an addend. So that's really kind of a vocabulary thing that you need to know. Okay, so let's look at lesson number 2. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. So I'm going to create a new one, and we're not going to save it. And so discard, and there we go, new one. Okay, so new lesson. So this is lesson 2. Okay, lesson 2 is about number lines and rounding. I talked about number lines in class. Most of you are very familiar with the concept of number line. We set this is 0. Generally, when I look at it, I think of things to the right goes that way, things to the left goes that way. Things to the right are positive, things to the left are negative. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be -1, -2, -3, -4. So if you were to say, okay, I'm going to walk 6 to the right, and then I'm going to walk 2 to the left, and then I'm going to walk another 5 to the left, where did you end up? And it always assumes you start at 0. Well, in a number line system, you would go something like this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 6. So I would go 6 to the right. Then I would go 2 to the left. That puts me at 4. And I would go 5 more to the left. That puts me at -1. So 6 plus a -2 plus a -5 is going to equal -1. Another way to write this is 6 minus 2 minus 5. So whenever you say plus a negative, it means minus. You're familiar with that. We're actually going to work on making it so that you start thinking when you see something like 6 minus 2 minus 5, in your brain you say 6 plus a negative 2 plus a negative 5. It helps you visualize it a little bit better. So that's the thing on number lines. All right, let's go for something else to do. See if I can get a little bit faster at this. And I'm going to do not save the old one and discard it. Getting a little bit better than this. So this is a new program I have, and hopefully you'll find it useful. This is the concept of rounding. We're still on lesson 2. And here's the idea, is that sometimes you don't want to get exact. So for example, in the class, there might be 48 people. And I just want a round number. And I would say, well, what does that mean? It means I want just kind of the general place where it is within a certain amount. So in this case, let's say I want to round it by tens. Well, in this case, rounding 48 turns to, well, that's about 50. Okay, that's by tens. If I had a number like 630 or 23,182, and I said, I want you to round to the nearest 1,000. Okay, that means if I think of it, this is hundreds. This is the nearest 1,000. So what you're going to do is you're going to be 623,000. Okay, how did I know what it is? Well, it's always going to be the number or the next number. So it's either going to be 623,000 or 624,000. Okay, it'll never be less than that number. It'll always be more. And really what you're looking at, if you think about it, is you're saying which number is it closest to. And this number is closest to this one. 623,108 is closer to this than it is to that. So you're saying between which thousands is it? That's what we mean by rounding. The closest one between them. And so the rule is pretty simple. It's you look at the number that you have, in other words, to the thousandth. You look at the next number. Is that number a 1 or a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4? If it's a 0, 1, 2, or 3, or 4, we're going to pick this number. If it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we're going to pick that number. So let me give you another example. Say we'll round something to 1,000. We'll pick a new number. So forget those for now. I'll keep those. And I want to say, okay, here about 8, 2, 7, 6, 4, 1. I say I want to round this to the nearest 1,000. It's either going to be 827 or it's going to be 828. Well, which is this closer to? To 827,000 or 828,000? Well, 641 is closer to the higher number than it is to the lower number. An easier way to look at it is going back to here. Is this a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9? Well, it's a 6. So that means this is the answer. That is not. So that's rounding. Let me give you a couple more examples, and let me see if I can get faster at this. Looks like there's a... getting better. All right, so let's go, and I want you to round this to the nearest 10. And that's going to be, let's go, 748. Okay, so it's either going to be 740 or 750. Well, it's closer to 50. That's the answer. Okay, another way to look at it is, here's the 4. Is this number a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9? Yeah, so it's going to go up 1. So it's not going to be the 4. It's going to be the next one up. And so that's the deal on that rounding. One last thing to just kind of look at it and say, all right, here's a number 62. And I were to say round to nearest 10. Okay, I'm going to draw a number line. I'm going to skip a lot of the numbers. I'm going to go, here's 58, 59, 60, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 8, 9. So 67, 68, 69, 70. All right. So when I say round to the nearest 10 of this number, that means, well, okay, here's the number, 62. Is it closer to 60 or 70? Well, it's obviously closer to 60. And so anything less than a 5 is going to be over here. Anything 5 and greater is going to be closer over here. So that's why we picked this. Is it bigger than 5 or less than 5 idea? If it's less than 5, you go down. If it's bigger than 5, go up. Sometimes you will hear, say, people round up a number or round down a number. You don't round things up and you do not round things down. That's bad speaking. You just round. Round always means go to the nearest 10, which one is it closer? Okay, I can move it up or move it down, or what's called truncate it if I want to, but we never round things up and we never round things down. We just round them, and that means we get it to the nearest whatever number they want. In this case, it's the nearest tens. So that's the deal on rounding. That's lesson 2. All right, let's clear that. Let's see if I can do this quicker. So new sketch, and I want to create, and I don't want to save, and I want to discard, and I want to go blank. Ha! Good. So now this is lesson 3. So what did you miss on lesson 3? Lesson 3, subtraction, addition, patterns. I talked about this in class. It's really not that complicated. I want you to be really good at being able to spot patterns and in your head be able to do things in your head really fast. So for example, 17, 13, 4. That's what we call a triad. You do not need to know that word, but it is, tri just means 3. It's 3 things that are related. 17 minus 13 equals 4. 13 plus 4 equals 17. And 17 minus 4 equals 13. So these are they're all kind of related to each other. If you know these things at the top of your hat, just boom, 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 you can get them, then you'll be able to do any kind of problem. So for example, you have a problem that says, let's look one from this. Is you have some number and you're subtracting 364 and you get 376. So what you're doing is you're looking for that third number. You've got a 376, a 364. What is it that's going to make this thing? This plus this equal, no, it's you're looking at what plus what, or what minus this will give you this. So the answer is you're going to have to add those two together. So 376 plus 364, 6 plus 4 is 10, 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 1 is 14, 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So M is going to be 740. So this is this concept of being able to do 6 plus 4 is 10, 7 plus 6 is 14. Notice how fast I did that? That's because I've memorized all the things that add up to 20 or subtract from 20. And that you need to get instantaneous. If you have to do that on your fingers, these kinds of problems are really, really going to slow you down. So this lesson is pretty much just doing this. Practicing your adding and subtracting. Your homework is going to be to work on really getting to where these are fast on you when you've got triads. And your homework was going to be, you're going to make all the ones that add up to 20 and subtract up to 20s. For example, this one, 17, 13, and 4. And that'll be about 60 of them. You're also going to have some homework where you're going to have to multiply or divide. So things like 56, 8, and 7. 56 divided by 7 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. 56 divided by 8 equals 7. So that's what you're going to work on. We're going to get to where those, you should be able to do about 60 of those in 60 seconds. That's your goal. I would say that would be an A+ goal. A B, oh, that was cool. A B would be like 40 in 60 seconds. So you want to be between, that means good and great. You want to be between 40 and 60 of these in 60 seconds. And so I'm actually going to give you some tests. All right, so that's it. That's the homework. I will see you next time. This is lessons 1, 2, and 3.